Welcome, everybody, to SMA Live in the afternoon. It's that time again. I have a great guest right here with me. I'm bringing him on in right now. We've got Atif Allison. Ski, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here. Welcome to SMA Live.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. I always see the work that you guys are doing, so it's great to be able to chime in and share today.
Now, if you guys are old school or if you don't know that much, I'm just get you to take the couple minutes just to go ahead and introduce yourself, cover the key points. You and I have competed against each other and also with each other many years. I just give a quick story. I remember I was out in Vegas at a tournament and I had skied out 4-0. And I was like, oh, man, this could be my first NASCAR black belt. And somehow the score ended up being 5-4 and you came back. But go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them about you.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Atif Allison. Everyone knows me as Ski. I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan. I've been in martial arts for about 33 years. So when Mallory talks about us fighting together, I still want to point out that you're still a little older.
That is the truth.
Yeah, but I had the pleasure of just kind of being able to fight around in a few different generations. The generation that we looked up to, I got a chance to fight against your Terry Kramers and Tony Youngs and then stick around and later on have your Pedro Xaviers and probably past the time that I should have been actively competing, running into your Raymond Daniels and Jason Tankstons. So it's been a pleasure being a part of sport martial arts, and I'm actively interested in what our future has to offer.
Now, that's a great segue to go ahead and mention that you have started a nice little organization called the TSKO. Let's go ahead and get that covered. What is the TSKO?
The TSKO is the Team Sport Karate Organization. If anybody that knows me, it's something that's been sitting in my mind for years that I had to just kind of get rolled out. It all started one year when I went to my daughter's cheer competition in Tampa, Florida. And we arrived at USF and walked into the arena, and the organization of the event just amazed me. As somebody that loves sport karate, I do realize that we're going to have a hard time justifying an actual sport with no spectators. Anytime you're spectator base, pretty much competitors waiting on their division to start and or their parents, we have to make a direction for something a little bit different if we want the path of this beloved activity to continue to thrive.
You're absolutely right in that. And one of the things that you know what? There's a lot of response going on. There's, of course, just some guy named Akin Williams, and make sure I pronounce his name right. Not Aiken, it's Akin Williams.
What's up, Bob?
There's Nathan Thorne saying you got his ear. I mean, there are a lot of people that want to hear more about this. Just to turn the page a little bit, you are a former Detroit police officer, and one of the things we were just talking about is an outlet for children. And explain how the TSKO can provide that.
You know what? So often, even when I open my program and other programs in some of your inner cities, we have families that enroll their children in karate, and we're talking about 3 children easy enrolled in your program. So they're paying their tuition, and if we want them to be active in our sports, we're looking at $65 times 3 every time they get ready to go out to a tournament. So if they're competing in a league or organization or circuit, and they're trying to keep up with their points and their ratings, that can make for a very expensive year. The TSKO is really about earning your proceeds off of spectators, which is exactly how most sports should be. Mm-hmm. If you're going to earn the majority of your earnings as a promoter or a host of an event off of the participants, we are definitely moving in the wrong direction. And I think we can see that. I remember going to the Battle of Atlanta when it was at the Omni CNN Center.
Oh, yeah.
And watching DKT Force One and Metro just battle it out. And I remember what those audiences used to look like. And I also remember what the entries fee were. So, fast forward 30-some years later, and the entry fees are more. The product may not be the same, and the spectator base is definitely down. So being able to offer this activity to these children is important. Number of us have satellite programs. We may have a homeschool, but we're teaching at a recreation center. We're teaching at a middle school, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. We're now talking about being able to provide this activity for them, not charging the person to participate or charging them a very small amount, and being able to collect that money off of spectators. So one of the images I sent you, it shows a crowd of individuals that were here at the school, and you could see all of the spectators kind of surrounding the ring.
Here we go.
That was a TSKO event that we hosted. It was a little pilot event. And man, I must have had about 217 spectators to be exact, packed into our karate school for that particular event. Those individuals paid about $15, some of them $20 for their ticket to come in and watch. And we charged their students next to nothing. So the students got an opportunity to participate. And then, of course, they invited individuals to come watch. And that's no different than what we see when we watch Little League Baseball, Little League Football, and we look at those audiences. Mm-hmm. In the past, people would like to say, well, you know, nobody wants to watch that. But I don't think that that's the case. Everybody is interested in at least watching their children. And I actually think the black belt standpoint is the exact opposite. We have marketed for our tournaments backwards, in my opinion. We don't follow these marketing practices in our schools. We know that inside of our schools, we have more novice students and more children. Those numbers dwindle as the students become intermediate and advanced. And once we get to advanced and black belt, there are even less students. The same thing happens for spectators. My beginners class, moms and dads, aunts, uncles, everybody's in there watching class. And as we get later on to the night, that's not the same. So I'm sure many of martial artists, especially you can probably relate. When we were first doing this as children, our moms and dads, everybody came out and watched. The girlfriends that we dated at the times, and we're probably hard-pressed to even get our wives to come out and watch a tournament if we decide to compete anymore. So the audience is not the same for black belts, but yet we still market our events for that. And that's one of the directions we're going wrong.
That's a very interesting theory, and you're exactly right. A lot of, and you know, even you can get a thumbs up from Joey Castro, Julio Castro, who agrees. It's, I mean, you look at the kids division. I mean, one of the things I'll relate it to. I went back to the Compete Nationals this year, and it's been about 15 years since I've been out there, and they do all their kids and underbelts on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you know, I never hung around to Sunday. In fact, I remember, and I'll quote you directly from Gerald Dawson. Gerald was like, "Hey Mal, you gotta get your black belt because we ain't gonna wait till Sunday for you to compete. So you gotta get it. You gotta compete Friday, Saturday with us." But it was the first time I went there on a Sunday. I was hanging around. I was gonna stay in California a couple extra days, and I go there, and that place was mobbed. It was so many kids. There were so many. Every ring that we didn't even use on Saturday was covered on Sunday, and there were just kids everywhere just waiting and parents running around and this, that, and the other. So I agree with you. I think that there is that marketability that maybe has been done in reverse, and I think you're definitely onto something. One of the things I have up right now you have behind you is a logo board.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of information about that.
This particular board is some of the teams that we had when we got started with the TSKO. If you can pull up the Akibalan Warriors image. The concept that we were doing is having a team with an actual mascot. So the individuals feel like they belong to the team. Now, within the martial arts in our schools, we always say, your team such and such is team this, is team that. And then we go to compete individually. And then we don't have really team sparring and team forums, at least on a national level, until they're black belts. So these things that would entice the younger population and novice students to stay, we don't offer it to them until they're probably burnt out from the sport anyway. So these logos, it builds some camaraderie within the team, within your school. You can have individuals try out for the team. You're a part of the competition team. That works well for synergy purposes. All of us have students in the school who are fantastic, but may not have the confidence to compete. But I could say, hey, Mallory, I want you to compete. And you could be a little reserved about it. But if I say your team needed you, your team needs you. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about, okay, well, I feel a part of this group, and we're going to go out and compete as a team. From a spectator standpoint, it's also easy to sell to your parents too. They're bringing the students in to participate for the team. When we start talking about kids competing, now we're talking about mom and dad coming, aunts and uncles, nana, grandpa, everybody's coming out to check it out. So when we can run these shows and condense the time and have a certain level of professionalism, it makes for an event that should last a couple of hours. Everybody got what they needed. And they can make their way out and continue to enjoy the remainder of their Saturday. So each of these teams have a logo. goes on their uniforms. We're pushing for uniformity, so everybody looks the same. Equipment, gear is the same. So eventually, we can have something that can be television or web-based ready. And I think that's really hard when we say we got a team up and somebody's got a black uniform on, pink uniform, red uniform, mismatched headgear, feet gear, hand gear, and we're wondering why we can't get the professionalism that we need to continue to grow our sport. I go to my daughter's cheer competition. Everybody looks the same from head to toe. I'm talking about the ribbons and the bows that they have in their hair to how their makeup looks, and they're all wearing the same type of shoe. And it's aesthetically pleasing, and that's one of the things that we definitely have to get to.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you turn on any major sports network, whether it be baseball, hockey, soccer, football, anything, and there's a uniform ability. And also, like you said, it gives you that sense of camaraderie, especially with teammates. I mean, the many times we've had, whether you were SES or you were IDC and I was elite or team CJB, whatever the case, that pride in that team that, I'm wearing my team colors. I can't let my teammate down because I've got to be there. We're in a team fight and I got to go out there and I got to get more points. Or I can't give up so many points. It does bring that camaraderie. You're starting that early. And one of the things that young people love to be is just being a part of something. And that gives them that base. And speaking of, you have something coming up. There's a tournament coming up in July.
Yes, it's our Metro United Open. It's a kids karate championship, and it'll also have a TSKO team challenge attached to it as well, for what we consider to be a nighttime show, not to be mixed up with the nighttime finals. The biggest thing for me is if we've been there all day and we've seen individuals compete, I don't necessarily want to see it again. And if we're watching, that person compete during the course of the day, and then they turn around and they run the same kata at night, and or fight the same people in their area that they see all the time, we're kind of running it into the ground, especially when you talk about who your spectators are. If you don't develop ticket sales to entice spectators to come in, what you're talking about as a spectator is the individual that did not make the finals or the parent that had to stick around to watch their kid compete a little bit later. So for our TSKO challenge immediately following the tournament, we're enticing these different teams to come out, and allocating funds is the biggest thing, not to be greedy. The individuals that sell tickets, if you had a team involved and they sold tickets, they're actually getting a cut of the ticket sales. I find that to be very important because we're asking instructors and coaches and business owners to sacrifice their time during a Saturday, which may be a peak time or it may be your family time, and to be able to make it worthwhile. Myself, for example, I sold like 100 tickets. So you sell 100 tickets, I get a $6 cut of that ticket. That's definitely $600 is worth my time coming out to a tournament for a couple hours. But then we also take a portion of those proceeds as well, while the promoter gets a piece, the coach gets a piece. 3 of those dollars goes back into our referee fund. And after the referees are done with their task for the day, they're compensated, monetary compensation. And we're able to hold some of the referees accountable and give them some different tiers for their training so that they can earn some more money as well. So hopefully we can kind of get away from, you just being a black belt, signing the sheet, walking into the tournament and kind of doing your own thing.
I also like the fact that you give your referees uniforms so that you know who the referee is, not just maybe somebody who accidentally stepped in the ring. You're holding them accountable that you're wearing this uniform. You're going to be refereeing that fair and square. I did put up your school address just about 2 minutes ago, but let me go ahead and get you to repeat that, and also any other ways that people may be able to contact you to find out about the league.
Okay. Well, our school address is 16184 Middle Belt Road. We're located in Livonia, Michigan. That's Livonia, Michigan. And the zip is 48154. Best way to reach me is probably an email at metrounitedkarate@yahoo. And our telephone number here is area code 734-744-6121.
And don't you also have a Facebook page for, I can't remember if it's Metro Karate or the tournament, one of the two.
I have a Facebook page for both. There's an event page for the tournament. It's the Metro United Karate Open. Of course, the karate school itself, Metro United, has a page. And the TSKO has a Facebook group page as well. You can join any of those options to take a look.
All right. I know that was a phone call coming in. That's what always happens when somebody
Yeah,
calls in. It blinks for a second. You got to hit that red button and
hit it
everything.
real
Well,
quick.
Ski, I certainly appreciate you being on. I'm looking for big things for this, especially for the kids, because this is how the sport grows. It's got to grow from the bottom on up. You know, no one comes in and is a Raymond Daniels. Raymond's put 20 plus years in as a kid competitor and everything. So I
That's
think you're
correct.
doing a great thing. And I look forward to seeing a lot more from this league coming up. I'm going to give you the final word.
Okay. Some people would like to think that it's because we don't have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We can really create this pot of gold for our students. I think that's one of the most important concepts. Uh, they need to have these sporting outlets. We are not losing students to football, baseball, basketball, things of that nature because they're going to play in the major leagues. Most of the parents know that that's not the case. We're losing those students usually around middle school age because it's an outlet that takes place at their school. It doesn't cost their parent any additional charges. Most of the time, the kids can go to school. Mom doesn't have to get them, and they can practice for 2.5 hours and then turn around and get them later, as opposed to bringing them to this activity and then turning around and paying for tournaments every month. So this is definitely an affordable option to them. And again, promoters, school owners, everybody gets an opportunity to earn some money. So again, if you're interested in the TSKO and even having a team out for our team challenge, feel free to give me a call. Again, that number is 734-744-6121.
There you go. That is it. Ski, I'm like I said, I know this is big. It's definitely something that everybody can get behind. Like you said, everybody gets a piece. Thank you for taking the time for being on SMA Live with us.
Thank you for having me, Riley. I appreciate it.